Hi. So I was driving to Vaughn's, and I was thinking about Annihilate and how horrible it was in Regulation H. So I thought I would make a video on it. So the three most problematic parts of it in Regulation H were the bulk up set, the mouse ape team, and the scarf set. So for the bulk up set, can I zoom in? Yes, I can. Okay. So this is like a pretty common set they would run. It's Drain Punch, Drain Punch, Rage Fist, Bulk Up, and Protect, with leftovers, and then they would run enough speed to outspeed Goldango, and then they would run this kind of thing that this is a pretty common idea. Obviously, they weren't all like this, but this is if you were to throw together a set to test a team out, this is a pretty common one. You would run the maximum HP you can while still getting the full efficiency from leftovers, and then the rest in attack. Or some people ran a lot more attack, some people ran less HP. It really just depends. And then it would be Terra Fire, Terra Water, or rarely Terra Fairy. If I remember correctly. It's been a while now, but still. And this set in particular was really bad because, this is my least favorite set. Because Annihilape is already really bulky. And when you give it bulk up, it becomes super, super hard to remove, which I'll get more into in a second with the teams on the right. And it keeps healing from leftovers and protect, as well as Drain Punch. And you have to be able to kill it in just a couple hits, or else Rage Fist just gets way too strong. It'll just start killing your entire team. And there's no way to slow it down at all because it has Defiance, so you can't intimidate it. You can't even drop its speed, or because if it gets plus one, but especially plus two attack, it's just gonna kill your whole team in one hit, and there's nothing you can do about it because it's fast, right? You the kind of thing you want to use against it, like a Goldango. It's too slow, frankly. It's just too slow, and you may think yeah, okay, but base 50 power Rage Fist is not gonna kill Goldango. So if you lead it and you use Shadow Ball on the Annihilape, if it doesn't Terra, by the way, but they always Terra'd, you can kill it. But that's when we get into Mouse Ape, you'll see why that doesn't really work. But also they can switch out. I don't even think Shadow Ball kills. Maybe Modest Life Orb. Well, Modest Life Orb probably does. Obviously Specs does, but Timid, I don't know if Modest does. Timid certainly doesn't. I guess I don't know for sure, but I really doubt that Timid kills. Maybe if it's fully invested, but still. But when we think about I hope this doesn't mess it up. Okay, so the teams on the right are three very common structures that you would see in Regulation H. The what would you call it? The main team of the format is this Doug Rilla structure, which is Dragonite, Ursaluna, Goldango, Rillaboom, and then typically you'd see an Incineroar, and then Sneasler is just so common, like a Grassy Seed, Unburdened Sneasler. And when you look at that team, what do you even do against Annihilape? Dragonite Scale Shot is not going to kill it. You're just going to boost its attack. It also outspeeds Dragonite, and you can't hit it with Extreme Speed because it's Ghost type. Ursaluna can kill it, but it's weak to Drain Punch. And it's also outsped. Goldango, we talked about earlier, could work theoretically, but they always Terra anyways. And of course you can Terra your Goldango. A Terra Fairy Goldango is good into it, but you're not outspeeding, and if they Terra as well, you're going to give them a powerful enough Rage Fist they can kill something else. Plus, also, they have to worry about their partner, like an Incineroar, which is very commonly used with Annihilape. And what are you going to do? There's a whole meme about Incineroar beating the fuck out of... There's a whole meme about Incineroar beating the fuck out of Goldango, so I don't know what to do about that one. Rillaboom, you can do a lot of damage to it, but again, Terra Fire, it's going to resist the Wood Hammer. It also is outsped by Annihilape. And also, again, Rillaboom's beaten by Incineroar. Incineroar, you don't want it at all against Annihilape because you intimidate it, giving it +1 attack, and you can't fake it out. It's also weak to Drain Fist or Drain Punch. Also, you wouldn't want to fake it out anyways because you're doing like a little bit of chip damage, and then you're also doubling the power of Rage Fist. And Sneasler can always do something because it has Dire Claw, which is insanely broken. There's a 50% chance to status it. Like, even getting a poison on Annihilape is great, but paralyzing it or sleeping it, oh god, it's a Drain or Dire Claw is its own problem. But you really don't want to be relying on like it was a 50% chance to status, but you don't want to be relying on like a 33% chance to either paralyze or put it to sleep. That's just not what you want to do. And obviously, close combat doesn't hit it. Dire Claw doesn't do that much damage to it because it resists it. And Throat Chop, which was common on Sneasler at the time, not anymore in Regulation MB, but for Goldango is used a lot. But Throat Chop doesn't really do much damage to it, and again, doubles the power of Rage Fist. Like, what are we doing? So Dougrilla has a really, really hard time with it. And then Rain's a little bit better. Both Rain and Sun are better at killing it because they just have like a more immediate damage output, which is kind of what you need. And obviously, Terra Fire Annihilape is not that great into Rain, or it's actually bad into Rain. But Terra Water's a little bit better, but then you're weak to Electroshot. I'm just now realizing that Annihilape would definitely run 151 speed to outspeed Timid Archaludon, which is that first guy. But let me get back on track. So the common rain structure was Archaludon, Pelipper, Basculegion, Goldango, Incineroar, and Sneasler. 3 of the same Pokemon as Dougrilla. The Regulation H was extremely centralized. It was not a fun format to play. I definitely offended a bunch of people with that, but whatever. So, of course, if you outspeed the Annihilape and you hit it with Electroshot, it's going to do a lot of damage. Like, it actually might KO depending on the spread. Especially if it Terra Waters, that thing's dead. But you can't really rely on them to Terra Water, especially because Terra Fire was more common. And also, why would you Terra Water in front of a Archaludon? Well, I guess yeah, because also, Hurricane from Pelipper does a lot of damage. Do I think it kills? I think it depends on the spread, because I would run like Life Orb Modest Pelipper, but I think the bulkier spreads would not KO. And then Wave Crash in Rain from like a Choice Band Basculegion probably kill. Especially if it Terra Fires, of course. And then Last Respects also helped. But that's very conditional, and you have to hope they let you get in that position. And then if they're Terra Water against the Basculegion, it's not going to kill. But Last Respects is good. It's kind of like Rage Fist, how it's just in the beginning of the game it's not very strong, but it just becomes so insanely broken, which is why both Pokemon were banned from OU actually. Basculegion didn't get banned from OU. It just got Last Respects banned from OU. But Annihilape itself is banned from OU. And then, of course, Goldango, which has the same problems as before, Incineroar, which has the same problems as before, and Sneasler, which has the same problems as before. And then probably the best archetype into Annihilape, even though it's Terra Fire, is Sun. And I just pulled up the most common Sun team towards the end of the format, Marco Sun, which is Torkoal, Farigiraf, Charizard, Jumpluff, Incineroar, Hisuian Lilligant. And it's like, if it Terra Fires, you have an issue. But Eruption and especially Choice Specs Charizard do so much damage that's probably okay. And the Sun teams move so fast that Rage Fist usually doesn't matter. And you're actually almost always going to be outspeeding Annihilate. So Sun's actually not bad into it. But again, if it Terra fires, it's still going to be a problem. Like, it's one of those things you have to really look out for. It's like if you're playing Flutterfish in Reg F, and you see like a Terra fire Rillaboom, like, you have to be careful of it. Even though it doesn't like full counter your team, like if you give it space, it'll beat Flutterfish. And then obviously, and also Marco's Sun's like the most powerful parts of it, like the Jump Bluff Charizard bit, is like it's still gimmicky. Like, I never liked running Marco's Sun because I don't have to rely on like the chlorophyll after you, or like Jump Bluff Sleep Powder. I don't want to rely on something as frail as Jump Bluff anyways. But it, as a team, it's hard to, there's a lot of matchups where you kind of just aren't able to do much. And that's not to say Marco Sun is a bad team. It's a great team. But it's kind of like any weather team in VGC. It's going to have a lot of flaws you need to work around, and it's never going to feel like a balanced team where you can just like play simply. You have to be able to make reads, and it's not, when you're against a Pokemon as strong as Anihilape, you don't want to be relying on that. Then I think the biggest problem with Anihilape was Mouseape. Let me just zoom in on the set real quick. So this is the most common set that I remember. It would be Follow Me, Taunt, Beat Up, Protect, Focus Sash. I know Covert Cloak was also common. Safety Goggles as well. And then I gave it enough speed to outspeed base 100s, and then just full bulk and some Spadef, just because what else am I going to do with it? And then, of course, it has Friend Guard, and like, I don't want to start this. Let me zoom back out. So the whole thing with Mouseape is that you're getting Rage Fist to max power, so you can just like OHKO everything. Let me think. So Beat Up would be what, 3 hits? So you get it to 200 power, which is just disgusting. That's more powerful than, that's like, it's essentially just using a Z move every turn. It's too much. And it wasn't even like that was the one thing that Mousehold could do for it. It had Friend Guard, which means it's even harder to kill Anihilape. Has Follow Me, potentially the best support move in the whole game, meaning that you have to use like, if you want to take out Anihilape quickly, you would have to use like a multi-targeting move. But combine them with Friend Guard and Terra and Annihilape's bulk, it's so, you just can't, it's so hard to do enough damage to it. And then you might have to do that even twice, because Mouseape would often run the Focus Sash. So when you think about like, maybe there's some other way to counter it. Like, maybe I'll use Trick Room and Amoonguss Spore so that I can put it to sleep and then deal with it with my Trick Room sweepers. Well, good luck with that, because Mousehold gets Taunt, and you'd be like, okay, well, I'll just fake it out. Well, if you think about those common fake out Pokemon, Incineroar, okay, well, you're gonna give Annihilape +1, and Mousehold could also run Covert Cloak and Terra Ghost, meaning fake out wouldn't even work. And then also, there were some Annihilape that would drop Protect entirely and just put Taunt on it, so you can't fake it out. So you just taunt the Frigiraf or Indeedee, and you can't fake out the Annihilape. It's hard to, so you need, if you have an Indeedee, you have to use fast non-prankster taunt while avoiding, I don't even know how you do this, because you have to avoid, you can't just taunt the Annihilape first, because Mousehold will just follow me. It's even worse than I remember. Good God. But yeah, it just doesn't work. And even if you get the Trick Room up and you have the Amoonguss there to spore it, or like you can just, or you're trying to status it. Well, Mousehold could also run Safety Goggles. It could also run Terra Grass, and even if it didn't do either of those things, it could follow me for one turn, letting the Annihilape get a free turn. And then also then if you protect, like if you have Protect on Annihilape, you protect, and now there's 2 turns of Trick Room left, and you've done no damage to Mousehold. You've done no damage to Annihilape, and you might not have even Terra'd yet. Like, they also have like Amoonguss and Furidraff out, which just isn't enough damage to take down the Annihilape. So you're gonna have to do it all again. See, this is what I mean. Like, there's just so little counterplay. Like, there's no way to consistently be able to beat every Annihilape set, which is like, it's not that uncommon for a Pokemon. But if there's a Pokemon that has so many sets that like you can't like reliably like have an answer on your team to it, then it's just too much. Like, that's why so many things get banned from OU. Not because like one particular set is broken, but because there's so many things they can do. That's why Terra Blast was banned from OU. Because think about like Dragonite in OU. Like, you can't counter the Terra Fairy Blast, the Terra Electric Blast. You just can't deal with all of those at the same time. So you kind of have to like flip a coin. Not that simple, but you get the point. But yeah, the thing with Mouseape is that like there's no way to like have any like steady position against it. You just have to like hope your team has like a decent matchup into it, and then just make like a billion hard reads. It's not fun to use or play against. And then I think this is a set that like a lot of people reference when they talk about how broken Annihilape was. But personally, I mean, it's broken, don't get me wrong, but I think the Mouseape like bulk up sets were a lot worse. And that's going to be the Choice Scarf set. So obviously you're still running Defiant, and you're still running max HP because, okay, well, Final Gambit, if you don't know, when you use it, it's okay, so it kills the Pokemon that uses it, but it does the amount of, so you see, okay, so it has 200 HP or 217 HP. It does that amount of damage to the Pokemon that you target. So the problem with this in Annihilape is because Annihilape is still like a great Pokemon already. It gets close combat, Rage Fist, and U-turn, which makes it a great Scarfer. It has Defiant, which means you can't like intimidate or anything. It's a ghost type, so you can't fake it out. And it's also already pretty fast enough that you can outspeed Dragapult with Choice Scarf, which is the fastest Pokemon in the format. And it has 110 HP, which makes it like not that many Pokemon have that much HP. And even those Pokemon might not be running max HP. But this is another Pokemon. Also, I ran Terra Fighting, or I put Terra Fighting on this because you resist Sucker Punch, which means that you'll be doing more damage with Final Gambit more consistently. And also you do more damage with close combat. But it doesn't matter. Anyways, when we look at like, I played a lot of Trick Room in Reg H, so that's why I have these two pulled up. We look at probably the main Trick Room Pokemon of Regulation H, because it was super common on like Side Spam. Oh my god. Sorry, I'm at Volans, and this guy just put his cart back in like the cart return area. He was like on the back, like shaking back and forth, and it was moving. I don't know what the hell I just watched. That was so weird. Anyways, these aren't real sets. Obviously, no one uses their own tempo or Cudchu. Like, I just threw this together so that I could like show you the HP. So Indeedee has 177 HP, meaning that there's essentially an unavoidable Final Gambit going into it, unless you have another Follow Me Pokemon. I suppose you could use like Amoonguss to redirect it, but that's really it. And like, no, because that is counterplay, but you're sacrificing your Scarfer. Like, you shouldn't be bringing a Scarf to a Trick Room matchup typically. Yeah, it still gets so much value. So you can, if they don't have a redirector, well, then you just lost your Indeedee. You can't set Trick Room. And then there's Furgiraffe, which luckily has enough HP to survive it, but you just need if you hit it with anything else, it'll die. So if you have like, I don't know, like what can you even do? Like if you have like a spread move plus Choice Scarf, so you have to make a hard read again. Like it's the counterplay. What the hell is going on? Are they racing in the parking lot? What the Anyways, so yeah, just like there's just a lack of counterplay for Final Gambit when it comes from Annihilape. But yeah, just like the biggest problems with Annihilape are its Ghost type. Its Ghost type really enables it, and then Defiant really enables it. Of course, Rage Fist and just everything else about it is broken too. But like the worst part is that it's a Ghost. Like it would not be the same without its Ghost type or the Defiant, which feels pretty obvious, but still. So why did Annihilape fall off in Pokemon Champions and in higher power level formats? Well, in higher power level formats, like let's say the one that came right after Regulation H, Regulation I, you have stuff like Choice Specs Miraidon, which just blows it up. Like Annihilape, it's like it's just good enough in Regulation H to be completely broken. But when you return all the super powerful guys back, like it doesn't do enough damage. It doesn't have enough HP, and it needs support that you just can't give it in high level power level formats, like restricted formats. Sorry. And then in Champions, it's because I had this prepared, but speaking now, I'm gonna forget everything. There's okay, so what got nerfed for one. So its direct nerf was that it lost Final Gambit, which is thank God. And Rage Fist was nerfed because it used to. I don't remember what the damage cap was before for it, but it was at least 300 base power, which is insane, by the way. When we think about other like super strong moves like Flare Blitz or like even like Hyper Beam from Sylveon. Like Hyper Beam from Sylveon is like probably like the most I think it's the most powerful in terms of like effective base power, it's the most powerful one. It has what, 180? So it has 180 effective base power, but it's 90% accurate. You can only use it on one Pokemon. It's fine in some format. It's been good in Pokemon Champions, but like it's not that great of a Pokemon, to be honest. And what was I gonna say? It also makes you have to recharge for a turn, which is like a crazy drawback. And then we think about like Z moves. Even Z moves are only hitting like I don't even know if they went up to 200 base power. And Dynamax and Gigantamax moves, those didn't even go up to 200 base power. But we have Annihilape with 300 base power, no drawback move, Ghost type, one of if not the best offensive type in the game. It's Stab, coming off of a high attack stat on a Pokemon with Defiant that can't be faked out. Yeah, see, Rage Fist was a huge problem, and they nerfed it. It didn't get nerfed that hard. I think it got capped out at either. I think probably 200 base power, but it might be 150. I know that the damage cap got maxed out, which helps. I actually don't think it's the biggest reason that it fell off, but still. But it is one of the biggest sufferers from a loss of Terra, because so its indirect nerfs were loss of Terra, which again, it was a huge Terra abuser. Like, if you had a counter for it, it would just be like, I don't feel like it, and then become Terra Fire or Terra Water. And then Megas are introduced, which makes it a higher power level format. Like, Annihilape is not taking a Charizard Weather Ball, or I mean, it might, but it'd be at super low health. What else? Again, I had this prepared, but obviously I'm forgetting it now. Okay, yeah, then of course, I think it's talking about this already, but the loss of Final Gambit makes it, there's a lot less set variety. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of it. But like, the loss of Terra is huge. Man, I could have sworn there was one more reason I had. I also just think the meta is unkind to it. Like, again, Charizard's a big problem. Rain, like Sun and Rain are so common. And then if you're not running Sun and Rain, or Sun or Rain, everything else does so much damage. Man, I really cannot think of this. But yeah, there's just a lot of fast Pokemon. There's a lot of Trick Room. It's really hard for Annihilape to survive in this kind of meta, especially without Terra, because there's like a very there's a couple of very common kind of like offensive structures, like the obviously like the sun is really strong right now, but and like without Terra, you just can't survive all like the weather balls and heat waves. Yeah, and then of course you have Scarf Basculegion, which with Last Respects just completely murders it. You can't Terra out of it. And games are also like pretty much like significantly faster than they were in Regulation H. I mean, you can't even reach the cap of Rage Fist power. You can't really get all the same bulk ups off. And so you just can't become as unkillable as you were before. I think it's everything, but like, point is, it was so broken Regulation H that it. Well, honestly, I think Regulation H was not really that good of a format, anyways. Like, it was so centralized, but like, I think Mouse Ape honestly made it unplayable. Of the formats that I've followed and especially played in VGC, Regulation H is just by far the worst I've ever experienced. And I would say a good like 40 to 50% of it is because of Annihilape. It really is just the worst, the absolute worst. Let's hope they never release something as stupid as this again. Bye. Please like and subscribe. Thanks.